This episode of Love Lauren is sponsored by SB Fabrication and Parts. So I've got my handlebars back from the powder coaters and they're ready to receive the new grips that are to go on here. Just got these off Cameron Petrie. I think they're about $7.50 for the pair or something, so pretty cheap. They're not original by any means. It says Taiwan on them instead of Scott Bonnar, but they'll do for now. Gonna pop some hairspray on there just to lubricate the end of the handlebars while the grip's going on, and a bit of an adhesive for the grip once it's on there. So we'll see how it works. I've not done it before. Just give everything a light clean off there, just to get rid of the dust. I'm just using my budget hairspray from Kohl's. A little bit for me, a little bit for the handlebars, I guess. Let's see how we go. I'm not sure if that's enough. So that's fully on there. I wasn't sure how tight that was going to be, but it was definitely a bit of a push to get it on there. I think that's going to feel about right like that. It's sort of aligned pretty well to the shape of the bar anyway. That sort of oval shape is just kind of adapted to that as it's gone on there. So probably could have used a little bit more hairspray. So let's try this one, see how we go. Adjust it a little bit until it's comfy, and I think that's pretty good. There we go. Thought that I'd gone all the way home, but a little bit left in it. That one a bit. Feels pretty good. Looks good. To get the originals off, I just used a little box cutter, just a little knife. Just slit the old ones up the side. Got a screwdriver under there and just sort of, they popped right off basically, so pretty easy. It's time to get these handlebars back together. Got the two halves and grips on the end obviously, and these are the bent style of handlebar on this 14-inch. There is a straight version as well, and depending on the mower that you've got, you may have troubles clearing a new Briggs engine with the straight bottom bars. So just something to watch out for if you haven't come into that issue yet. Also got a new stainless bolt there to pass through the middle, a little pivot bolt, whatever it's called. And behind the bubbles are the little cover plate and the hardware for that, new stainless hardware for both. I'll just grab the moly grease in this case, since we're working with the stainless, and start getting this back together now. The handlebars fit together like so, with a shorter bolt used to hold everything together in the extended position. The bars would otherwise pivot on the through bolt. The first thing we need to do before getting our cover plate in place is install the long connector bolt. It's a bit of a tight squeeze passing it through the bars, so a little bit of lube won't go astray here. We'll feed it through and try and line everything up all at the same time. You can rest the top section of the bars on the lower section if you need to make things a bit easier. Send it through as far as possible. We've then got a 9/16 inch socket to wind it in the rest of the way and finish off with a nylock nut. If you don't have a second imperial socket, a 14mm spanner works well on the nut. We don't have any washers for this assembly, so we'll just do it up snugly. The cover plate goes on next, and we'll put the stickers on later. There's a new stainless screw and nylock nut to install at the top, and the cover plate otherwise just sits on the bars, as you can see.
What we've got here is the new stainless bolt and clamp assembly, including the clamp plate. You may or may not have this. On this machine we had one and wanted to preserve it. The trouble was this bolt typically comes in a 1.5 inch length, which isn't long enough to get everything on there. What we want to have is the washer at the front, clamp plate at the back, and then the nylock nut. So Cam Petrie was good enough to help me out with this. He cut down a 2-inch bolt and made the end nice, and it now does the trick. We'll get it all the way through and then flip everything over to do with the nut. Coming around the back, we'll get the clamp plate in place, which matches the shape of the bars, and then our nut. Then we can tighten it all up. Despite having the nylock nut on here, we'll give it an extra light crank to ensure it stays put, and then finish off at the top. The Phillips head driver holds that top screw in place while we wind the nut on. And that's it. We can get our decals on and the bars are now ready to be mounted.
Get these handlebars mounted on this machine next. It's probably one of the last things to do. You could do it earlier in the process, I suppose, if you wanted to, but I think just having them out of the way until this stage probably made sense to me anyway. So these, on the solid deck machine, we've got the 3 little cup head bolts, a little spring washer, and a nut, just a regular nut to go on the end. I've got the 3 of those, as I said, because on the chain side there's also the mount for the chain case, which I've already put in place here, so we'll just need to remove it for the time being. On the twin rail, we've just got the 4 cup heads to worry about. It's a little bit simpler in that sense, but this isn't difficult anyway, of course. So that's our little chain case leg. So when I put the twin rail together the other day, it was a bit of a squeeze getting the bars in. On this machine I've got at least 1 inch of clearance, so it's a much different story. It'll be interesting to see how we go. I guess I'm going to have to stretch the bars out a little bit to fit. If you can see at the top there's sort of an elongated adjustment slotted hole on both ends, and lower down we've got just a straight square hole to match the square section of the cup head. Up to you how you want to do it. I'm going to start sort of like this, and then pivot up to secure the next bolt. So we'll get that cup head as far in as possible, get our washer on, and then we'll try and get the nut on as well. So on this side I'm working with the chain case cover again. Try and line everything up. And you do want to make sure that that chain case cover is aligned correctly as well. I don't have enough thread poking through here, so I'm going to have to give that a bit of a squeeze. And I think what I'm going to have to do actually is get a little clamp on there to hold that in place while I'm working on it. So whether these handlebars are original to this machine or not, I don't know. I kind of have my doubts. I believe that this style of handlebar was introduced a little bit later on in the game. I'll let off this clamp. Tighten up on the other side a little bit, just to avoid having to do it later when the other nut is in place as well. And then we can prepare our 2 cup head bolts and pivot these bars up and into place. You can see how the bend with this engine in place kind of gives us a little bit of extra room. There's the muffler down here as well to think about, so that's going to fit through there like so. Again, spring washer, split washer. Drop it on the floor. And bolt everything back up together. Throw that one through just to hold everything in place. That one's gone on at least, so that's good. get it snugged up, and then this is looking like a mower. So there is now some adjustment in these handlebars in terms of they'll pivot back and forth just a little bit, which you can use to your advantage to adjust the bars to your height, I guess, and also around your whatever engine you're using. That's nice and firm on that side now. I'll just do the other side. Just give these a quick test. Tilt the machine. I'm going to feel everything sturdy and together. There's a bit of movement through the bars, of course, just through the metal itself, but none of the bolts are loose.